Hey guys, welcome to another one of my gamer encounters, and in this video we're encountering Exanima. Now, what is Exanima? Well, I have to mention first of all that this game was gifted to me by a viewer, so he did send over this game because he really wants me to check it out. And I have sort of been keeping an eye on this game because I didn't mention Exanima, but in my last year top 10 videos I mentioned Sui Generis, which is an upcoming physics-based like medieval RPG dungeon crawler thing, which is very, very unique. And Exanima is sort of like a demo version of the game. There's a bit of a dungeon crawling aspect to it and also an arena. And today, in this encounter, we're just going to be looking over the arena because the big selling point and the big unique thing about this game is the combat system. But there's a few other cool things. The game, I do have to mention straight up front that it's quite difficult to get into. And if you're planning to try this game, I implore you to, before starting up a new game, to spend a couple hours in the arena just understanding the mechanics and how combat actually works. Now, if we go to settings, you can see there's a pretty decent settings here, and if you do start up a new game, you can turn on early checkpoints because it's sort of a permadeath game. Early checkpoints makes it a bit easier because the starting out, well, you got checkpoints. Controls themselves, they're rebindable. You can rebind them however you like. I've changed a few things around. I changed crouch to control just because of comfort and things like that. So let's go ahead and jump into the arena. Now, when you jump into the arena, it starts, well, novice or expert. I've only got novice now, I haven't got expert. But you start up with a bit of a character creation. Now, the character creation is actually pretty cool. It's you can see that there's this here. You can be male or female, and physique is this nice little gradient thing. So on the left side it's skinny, on the right side it's heavier, on the top side it's muscular, on the bottom side it's less muscular. So we can go all the way big and heavy, or all muscle no fat. We could be really skinny, no muscle, or just the fat, no muscle. So, and it's completely, look at that, it transitions very, very nicely. So I'm just going to leave it somewhere around there. You can also change your height, which is very good. I'm on the tall side, so let's go ahead and make me tall. Age, you can make yourself look older or younger. It's not too very old age, but you can see if you go to like very old and then go for skinny, you can make yourself look pretty old. So that's nice. Also, skin tone as well is a nice gradient. It goes from different tones, very nice there. And voice actually, there's a few voice types. And of course, what I always love about this sort of voice system is you can change the pitch. So let's say that's the voice, I can deepen it or make it higher. It's just a nice thing to get exactly what you're looking for. Hairstyles also, we've got a few to choose from, and they're all sort of physics-based as well. You can see that the hair does sort of flop around, and hair can also be wavy or straight, up to you. And you can change the hair color as well, so that's all very nice. And even here, the hair tone and all of that. Very, very good, cool. Now, next up, we gotta equip our characters. In the arena, you've only got a small selection of what you're going for, but the combat is very physics-based. So what you're wearing and what you're using and where you're wearing things is actually really important. So you can see here, a cloth shirt has pretty decent coverage, but not that much protection, just a bit against slash. So it is better wearing a shirt compared to not wearing a shirt. Same with shoes and pants. But these things only protect you if you're being attacked from that side. So wearing the shirt will protect my arms, but if I get slashed on my legs, well, that's another matter entirely. Now I'm going to show you a couple rounds of this. The first round I'm going to go for a standard sword, and are there actually stats on this thing? There we go, stats on the sword. We've got weight, impact, balance, slash, thrust, old and rusted sword. We've got different weapons here. We've got the two-handed sword, heavy and poorly balanced sword, long lost its edge. These are pretty bad weapons, simple ball mace here. We also got this bill, and a shield, which makes a nice blocking device. I'm just going to go for the standard rusted sword and shield there, and we can go ahead and create our character. And we don't have to worry about recreating this. If we die, we can just jump right back into the arena and that character will be saved. So let's go ahead and start our first round in arena, and I get to show off the combat mechanics. So here we go. This is a little different from most RPGs you'll be used to. So let me just try and dispose of this guy before I can explain how the combat works. And you get to see a few things here. There we go, got a hit on him. And we've got basic slash attacks. There we go. It's all about positioning and making sure you keep facing the right direction with your mouse cursor. Got a nice hit there. And it is a lot more sort of tactical compared to a lot of other sort of combat systems. And it really does pay off if you sort of wait and dodge and position yourself. Randomly flailing is not gonna work out so well. There we go. I think one more hit should do him. Ooh, that was a bit of a fumble, but it's okay. Ah, got a nice slash there. Okay, we haven't been hit yet, so that's good. Okay, so pay attention to my mouse cursor. It is important where your mouse cursor is facing. And here we go. I think I can get him. Ah. Need to keep some distance. Because if you run up to him, then... Ah, there we go. Okay, good. So, we've taken out the first guy. We took a bit of damage, but we're okay. So now let me show you the way combat actually works. So, what happens is, your character is always facing your mouse cursor, right? So you can see it turns with the mouse cursor. If I click and hold with the left mouse button, you'll actually do a bit of a swing like that, right? But of course, since your character faces the mouse cursor, we can add more impact to it if we swing while... There we go, we take big sweeping slashes. And then of course we have double click and hold, and he'll do a top-down attack. And top-down attacks are great at attacking prone opponents if they get knocked over. Let's see if we can actually hit this guy. There we go. And of course, we have the crouch mechanic. So, and we can slice when we're down here as well. So if the guy is very heavily armored on his torso, but his legs are undefended, then that's a valid strategy. We can also do a swing up here and then crouch on the next swing. So that's a very cool tactic that I found works decently well. So we can do swing there, crouch. So they might block the top and then we get to slice their legs. So that's very good. There's no actual active blocking mechanic. Your character will automatically block. So let's jump into the next fight. And you can see that the character does automatically block. I like to take a step back when they swing, so we can actually... There we go, got a nice hit there. And it's all about positioning. Now, the confusing part is your controls sort of match the direction your character is facing. So if I press D now to step right, it steps to the character's right. So that there is, of course, if I look into the settings and controls, there is an orbit camera mouse 3 and align camera, which is space. So if I press space, that's gonna... This depends on your preferences, but if I press space, the camera will face the direction I'm facing, like that. So let's see if we can do this. And of course, see, you can bump into the character by running into him, right? And it's sort of a way to minimize incoming damage if you fail to block. And also, of course, blocking does rely on where your mouse cursor is. So try and move your mouse cursor to where the attack's coming from. So here we go. All right, so it's all about timing and... There we go. See, I ducked on the second swing and slashed his foot. But of course, if you duck, you make yourself vulnerable to top-down attacks. Okay, there we go. And you gotta be careful not to be thrown around, because some strong characters can actually throw you around. So you gotta be careful. There we go. Slice at the feet again. There's no actual damage indicator of how much damage you're doing, but I'm assuming leg attacks are worth less. So one trick is try to not get backed into a corner. Ah, there we go. Took him out. So very nice. So you can see how this combat mechanic works, and it's very, very interesting. And it feels really nice. Now, I did see that the YouTube channel Scalagrim, he's sort of like this weapons expert, he did look at the game as well, and the company making this game, Bare Metal, did actually watch a lot of his videos to understand combat mechanics. And one thing that is sort of, he said made him cringe is when you do a top-down attack, you often slice right into the floor. And I'm not sometimes you'll hear the, well, not on his body, but swinging your sword against hard surfaces generally is a bad idea because it does dull your sword in real life. So quite often in combat you'll hear them, especially on the top-down swings, it's a very sort of awkward top-down swing, that animation, but they are still working on the animations. In fact, the animations used to look a lot more drunk, but now they're actually looking a little bit more reasonable. It still looks a little awkward, and of course they are still working on it, but it looks much better than it used to. You can see some of these stances that the leg work is a bit awkward, but let's jump into the next fight, see how far we can go on this. Alright, we've got a guy with a shield here. And of course, ducking does actually allow you to... oh, he got me there. That was a bad time to attack. Ducking does allow you to dodge incoming swings. Okay, here we go. And after my character dies, I'm gonna go pick a two-handed weapon so you guys get to see how that works. So this does take a lot of practice. I've been practicing this combat system for about an hour and a half now, so I'm no expert, but you get to see how this works. But of course, if you just jump into the game, there's no real proper tutorial. There's some videos on YouTube, but basically what I'm explaining here is sort of a nice way of doing things. You can of course feign attacks, because to swing, you gotta click and hold. Ooh, that was a nice one. You gotta click and hold to attack. So you could sort of click and then release the mouse button to feign an attack. So it sort of makes them defend. There we go. Dodged his attack with a duck. Sliced his feet. Here we go. Nice slice on the legs, got him there. So ducking, you can see ducking really does do a very nice job at dealing with some of these guys. So that guy was with a mace and a shield. That's pretty difficult, but of course each round it gets harder and harder. This guy's got a two-handed hammer here, and he's armored, so you gotta be careful. Looking at his shirt, it looks like it's chainmail. But his pants, I think, are just normal pants. So targeting his pants with low attacks would probably be a good idea in dealing with this guy. Okay, here we go. Careful not to get hit. Alright. This guy looks a little scarier, but I actually find the ones with shields and quicker weapons to be harder to deal with. These slow guys, these slow swings do tend to... Ooh. Luckily I dodged his attack there with a duck. These slow guys tend to be a little easier to manage if you're a bit more patient. Okay, here we go. Got his foot. Yes, there we go. You can see his torso is quite heavily protected, but his feet less so. So sometimes it is good to do that. Now, let's go one more. And actually, this is a scary one. Look at her metal shield. Ooh, got a nice hit off the top there. Okay. And this is the point where sort of my skills sort of meet their match. Now I do have to mention that the AI in the game, it is a pretty smart AI. I mean, you can see their combat looks pretty much like what I'm doing, but they also have programmed in human error, so they're not perfect combatants, of course. So they do make mistakes. They do slip up, they can trip. Ooh, there we go. Tried to go for a feet there. Try not to get backed into a corner. There we go. Okay. Try a top-down attack. Top-down attacks are a little risky because they sort of leave you open, so you gotta try and take a step back. Ooh, did an attack at the wrong time there. There we go, we took a bit of damage there because we moved into the attack, but moving into an attack sort of minimizes the damage. Ah, but look at the physics of the bodies moving, it looks so nice. Ah, there we go, got a nice hit there. Oh, she got a direct hit on me. Ooh, staying ducked too long is... If you sort of overcommit, you are going to be punished for it. There we go, got her ankles. So I really like the sort of mid-swing duck swing. I really like that because it sort of throws them off. Of course, I'm guessing you can do the reverse and then stand up on the second attack, but you know, taking that swing and then duck on the second swing, I really like that technique. But that's the beauty of this physics-based combat system. You can develop your own techniques like that. So that's really cool. Now these arena fights do get harder and harder and harder, and in the interest of showing variety, I'm gonna show you what happens if you just blindly swing in this fight. Okay, so because I wanna die and show you two-handed weapons. So let me back off here and show you what it's like if you just blindly swing and just taking wide swings. It might work, it might sort of throw them off a little bit. Here we go, I'm just sort of swinging the mouse around, and you can see it doesn't pay off. You have been defeated. So that's the end of that arena round, and now I'm gonna jump back into the arena, back into Novice, and see our character's still there. I'm just gonna swap the weapon out for, let's take this weapon. It's sort of a different type. So of course they are adding in more weapons and more armor, but this is gonna play quite differently. It's a two-handed weapon. It gives longer range, and I don't have a shield. So there we go. It's got a longer range, so my ducking attack does sort of have a slightly different dynamic to it, because the blade is only on the end of the weapon. Then I can't. I actually have to keep my distance. I can still do top-down attacks like that. And one thing you do have to try and do is try and keep a... Ooh, I did a top-down attack while he did a side attack. Not a good idea. So this gives me a bit more range, but of course without the shield, it's a little less defensive. And I really have to stop. Okay, here we go. So I have less practice with this weapon. So what's nice about this combat mechanic as well is that your skill and ability with the weapon is really your skill and ability with the weapon. So I'm more accustomed to the sword and shield compared to this sort of polearm sort of weapon. So you can see I'm having quite a bit of difficulty with the first guy because my swing duck attack does sort of work, but it works differently. You can see that was a nice execution there. So let's try another round. This guy's got the same weapon. Oh, I ducked and he did a top-down attack. Head attacks, of course, can be quite devastating. Ooh, there we go. Nice one. Ah, there, nice attack on the arm. So of course, as armor becomes a thing, let's push him back. There we go. As armor becomes a thing, asymmetry in your armor is actually gonna play a big role, because let's say you have, well, your character is generally sort of holding the weapon to one side, right? So having armor on a certain side heavier than the other will actually have some benefit. I mean, in real life, armor was often asymmetrical. You know, right-handed people, human beings don't work 100% symmetrically, so having asymmetrical armor does make a lot of sense. And so you might get really, like I mentioned on the guy with the heavily protected torso, but less protected legs, they would have to, if you're equipped like that, you would have to sort of be more cautious about your legs. And of course, if you have if you're holding a shield, then that shielded side has a bit more protection. Ooh, you got me there. And of course, you could sort of have like one pauldron sort of. Ooh, that. Oh, I did a duck and I was not rewarded for that. Okay, let's see if I can take out this guy. And then, of course, armored characters are more susceptible to mace attacks because of the sort of blunt crushing power, whereas piercing and slashing sort of affect different sort of clothes. These sort of, we're just wearing sort of cotton shirts and stuff here, so slashing power does really well. But against armored enemies, you know, a slashing weapon doesn't do too much. Okay, so I'm about to die. I'm obviously less experienced with this weapon, but I want to see how far I can get. Oh, there we go. Ah, blow to the head. I have been defeated. So, that's sort of my showcase on the combat system in Exanima, and it's a really cool combat system. It feels very rewarding, it feels very engaging, you do get very sucked into it, and I actually love it. It's something very, very different, and this is sort of the test demo in developing Sui Generis, which is still in development. But they did mention some really interesting challenges that they're facing. For example, I saw on one of the dev notes they really want to put in mounted horse combat, but the physics system on mounted horse combat is crazy, and they've already spent like so many updates just updating the animations, making it look more realistic, and they're still working on it because it still looks a little, well, they used to call it like really drunk, and it really did look very drunk. Now it looks less drunk. But in general, that's Exanima. If you'd like to check it out, go ahead. I think it's a very creative and interesting development. Everything was built from the ground up using their own systems and everything like that. And it's very, very cool. All right, so there we have it. That's my encounter with Exanima. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.